with everything that's going on right now in Israel, I'm sure you have thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on what's going on there with Hamas and Israel?
Well, I haven't stopped thinking about it since it happened. There's so many weird things to it. First of all, of course, I'm always praying for all children of the world who are innocent and in harm's way on every side of everything. I just think maybe we're on our way to a more sane world sometime soon, where people do consider the innocence of children, and that hopefully would make them more intelligent and more human, that they'd be guided by that rather than, this kind of primitive get even thing, which I hope is leaving. And I hope that's going in the past. But I feel bad for all of the innocent victims of my people. My family lives there, a lot of my family. And it's just terrifying. It's terrifying historically and geographically and politically and in every way. And then when you really break it down and look at the facts of it, it doesn't add up.
Which ones?
Well, the whole thing doesn't add up. So you have to go, what is this really? And who benefits from this, right? You always have to ask those questions. But it is weird that Israel, which is has such high technology for all this warning signs, what do you call it?
Their defense is top notch, billions and billions. We even give them billions and billions each year.
The world's best.
Yep.
None of it was
How did they not anticipate it?
None of it was functioning.
Well,
they got through, and then they went all the way back without one alarm sounding.
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, I too have family there. I was just there a few months ago. I took my mother for her first time in 30 years. By the way, my mom says hi, Roseanne. Big fan.
Nice. Say hi back.
I will. She's probably watching this, smiling right now. But you talked about having family there. I was just there. I saw the protests that were going on the ground. They're protesting against Bibi Netanyahu, sort of a Trump-like figure, famous, political. He's been around forever. But in one capacity, they think that they took their eyes off the ball. Lesson that can be learned here in America today. While you're creating divisiveness internally, there's always someone externally willing to attack you. Thank God that we have the Atlantic and the Pacific.
But it doesn't seem that way when their own infrastructure didn't work.
Well, here's the point. So
what does that mean? That means, and I've been trying to say this to Jewish people for 100 years, and to Americans and to everybody, there's an enemy within. And I think we all know that. And what are we going to do about it? You can't ignore it. And, you look at Israel and everything that's going on there, and they have basically the same problem that we have here in America. People who hate the place they live. They hate the government that they live under. So, I think that, like a lot of people say, Egypt warned them 3 to 5 days ahead that it was coming, and they did nothing. So what does it really mean? Was it allowed? Was it like Pearl Harbor, where they say that our president knew that it was going to happen? But, to do nothing was more expedient than to do something, because doing something might have made it worse. But, then you have to look at the fact that I thought it was weird. I don't know if we can talk about this on your show, but that those vaccines were tested on Jewish people in Israel. And, is this a captive population that the owners of the world think they can use as lab rats again and again and again, even in their own state? I mean, is it that big? Is it that horrible? And I kind of think, yeah, it is. And I think that the people that were protesting for judicial reform is just like when they overturned Roe v. Wade here. because it was a law created by judicial fiat, which is anything but American. When a bunch of judges decide what the law is going to be, the laws are supposed to be made by people who elect legislators to pass those laws, but instead that law was created by judges, and that isn't how our country works. That was a beginning of the overthrow of our country, I think, and the same was in Israel. People were upset that their left-wing judges were creating law there, and they were sick of it. And so the way the American press covers it is that, it was a right-wing, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was a people's. And they always seem to frame anything that comes from the people as a right-wing thing.
Populist.
Yeah, they don't like populism for sure. But, I think that a lot of people who were... I've been to Israel, and a lot of people there are... like the left here, they're very privileged. They're very, like those educated people I talked about before, they're very arrogant and they're very privileged, and they don't care about people, on the ground or do the real work that makes things go. They have nothing but contempt for them, and because they're elitist. And I think that was a lot of that too. So I think about why did it happen and what does it all mean? And of course, then I get really upset too, because that was my tweet that I got fired over.
Mm-hmm. The Valerie Jarrett tweet.
Yeah, that they unleashed. Everybody. I don't. Liberals think that Planet of the Apes, I guess, they think it's a movie about black people because they are that racist. But it was actually Rod Serling himself who wrote it, said it was a movie about the German Holocaust of Jews at the beginning of it. And so I knew that Iran deal that Obama and Jarrett had authored was to unleash Planet of the Apes in Israel. And it did. And that's exactly what happened. And the ultimate end of it that they desire is a military lockdown state. And I think they did it there to test it, to bring it here and do it here next. Because you saw all those people that were out in every major blue city that were, celebrating what happened to Jewish people. They were flying Palestinian flags and pro-Hamas. I mean, we have Hamas in our Congress, but
yeah, when you look at Ilhan Omar,
what do you mean? They have the Palestinian flag outside her office with her door closed.
Can you pull that up, Rob?
Well, the point that I was trying to make to you is like, how could this happen? How could this happen?
Well, how did it happen that we are allowing people say that a lot of the people that are coming across our border are Hamas? And those kind of people, they are coming from the middle. Of course I do.
What percentage of people you think cross the border are Hamas?
I'll tell you right now, Roseanne, not to cut you off, 160 terror watch list suspects were caught at the U.S.-Mexican border in 2023. Caught. And I talked about Pat this. How many out of the 7-8 million that came over? And mind you, this administration's attitude is come in. Now this happens. You think these people, mind you, and I heard this, Roseanne, I'm pretty sure you did too, that the UN, the Biden administration, has given these 18 to 24-year-old war age fighting men, single, they're not coming over here with families. They give them cards. They give them this money thing where they're like, hey, listen, we'll keep replenishing the money. Here's a cell phone. If we need you, we're going to call you. What are they doing? So and you nailed it, Roseanne. There's two things that happen with this attack. Either A, they knew and they did nothing, or the intelligence, it was just failed again. Either way, somebody has to be held accountable because we have to figure out what the hell is going on.
I think we have to go who benefits the most. So you think about it.
Who do you think?
Well, we're done in Congress with talking about Joe Biden and the Ukraine, right? I think that's all been exposed. But they were just starting to go with what did Joe Biden do in China? What did not just Joe Biden, but all the crime families in D.C., all all the political prostitutes that say they're representatives and senators, what deals did they make with China? And perhaps what happened there was part of the plan of the owners of the world to distract from that. I think the people that ultimately gain the most from it are the people who are China and the people in D.C. who are fighting and have been fighting since Trump was elected to keep their crimes out of the news, to keep the American people unaware and uneducated and ill-informed of the criminal enterprises they've run against the people and the people's money. So, they've taken public money and put it into private pockets. That's what Congress is and nothing more. So those are the two main beneficiaries I see of this. And also it seems as if Iran is, who backed this, who backed Hamas, it was a suicide mission ultimately because it's not going to stand. Israel's going to go in there house to house. So I feel like Iran sacrificed Hamas because...
Sacrificed?
Yeah, I think that was a sacrifice of Hamas because while the world's looking at Israel going into Gaza and the whole thing, here comes Hezbollah. And that's
from the Lebanon side?
Mm-hmm, that's going to... While everybody's looking here, that's going to come here. So it's like, and they're going to get them in a vice. And I just think the longer Israel waits to retaliate, the better it's going to be, because I think things will come more broadly into understanding. And I don't think that they should do it reflexively. I think they should wait. And I was glad to see they should wait.